It's a sunny day, so I have blinds open, but I don't have extra lights on in here, so if this is dark, I apologize. The camera's usually pretty good at adjusting, it's just when I put dolls in the camera's face and Chip wants out. Hold on. It's summer break, so the kiddo's home from school, so I have to close the door to keep the YouTube sounds out, and Chip gets weird about closed doors. Anyway, so I'm hoping that the light balance is going to be okay when I put stuff in the camera's face. It's going to adjust and back and forth. And anyway, today I have a strawberry lychee smoothie. Okay, odds and ends this week. One of the first things is we got the charging port back for my tablet, so I will be able to post to Instagram again. Unfortunately, the camera is live on the tablet, but it doesn't work. So I don't know what to troubleshoot with this. I don't know if I need to reinstall Instagram or do something with the camera in the tablet. I should probably not worry about it though, because the camera in this is pretty crummy, because this thing is 5 years old. And I decorated the back because it's never too early for Halloween. So there's that. I will be able to get stuff back on Instagram again. And doll from last week, that vintage doll that I picked up, who had the really like frazzled wool hair. I tried very briefly to save her her wig. I could tell it was wool because it was making my fingers itch, and it's just beyond my ability. I could see once you got past the really abused looking top layer, the lower layers were still kind of shiny and they had their original curl, and I didn't want to brush those out and lose that and deal with all that, so I just pried her wig off with a little help from my husband, because they used some strong glue on those wigs back then, and it's not my first time experiencing this glue. So I was going through the doll wigs that I have, and it turns out her head is just about Super Dollfie size, just standard, it's an 8-inch wig size. So I was able to go through my 8-inch wigs, and you know, I'm into fantasy hair colors, but of course I do have some natural hair colors, and I pulled out a milk tea color wig, long and wavy and very wispy and romantic, and as soon as I put that on her, it was great. So if you have a milk tea wig on a doll, you need a Lolita look. But I didn't want to sew anything. So I thought, alright, fine, I'll just see if I have any Super Dollfie, any ball jointed doll, MSD, Super Dollfie, whatever size that will fit her temporarily until I can get around to sewing Lolita clothes for her. But I rediscovered a shirt and skirt set that Cheshire Tiffy sent me a while ago that are in Walloli style. They needed, the reason they were kind of shoved in the bottom of my ball jointed doll clothes case is because it needed some repairs. So I worked on that, and I always marvel at the way other people sew doll clothes, because they always make decisions that I wouldn't have made. They're not wrong decisions, it's just, oh, I wouldn't have thought of making it that way. So I had to work around some of those decisions, what their brain did with what my brain wanted to do. But I got that out together. She doesn't have shoes, but I really like this. Are her eyes open? Her eyes... I think I need to get in and add more weight to the weights in her eyes because they don't swing open too fast. I had to trim the bangs down so it lost some of the wispiness on the ends and became more of a blunt cut. I will fix that. But I think this is a nice... I mean, yes, it's getting into the sort of spooky doll look for her, but you know, that's our aesthetic. I think this wig works well on her. I think this dress, this shirt and skirt fit well on her. I did have to make the fake obi, and it has a fake knot in the back, and it's just closed with Velcro. But that, of course, was faster than making an entire dress. I also made a quick fake little low-effort petticoat, because you need volume if you're going to wear Lolita. So, and this is actually, I hot glued this onto a small pin back and just pinned it to her wig because she needed some sort of hair decoration. There is a scrape on her cheek all the way down to her base plastic. I think I showed you when I had this doll nude, there were scrapes on her hips all the way down to her base plastic is actually gray. But, you know, I do like that kind of run-down spooky dolly aesthetic a bit too. So for now I'm leaving her as she is. And I'm trying to get the notion out of my head that since this is a super dollfy-sized head, wouldn't this be keen on a super dollfy-sized body? But I don't know if that works. I'm surely people have done that. Have people put vintage heads like this on SD-sized bodies? If they have, can you tell me where? Or is that just too much of an East meets West aesthetic mix for some people? That's why I don't know if I want to do it to her. She's very generic for this kind of doll. And I don't know if this head would work well on that kind of body, or if I just leave her on this little stubby American style body. And I don't know if I will order shoes from her, or if I will try to make shoes, or if I will leave her barefoot. And just, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to stick with this doll, or if she's going to be cycled out of my dolly population, because if you know me, you know my dolls don't always stick around. So, I think this works. At least for now. And then I went back to sewing things. Oh, I have center, sorry, I just realized I'm pretty far off center here, aren't I? I went back to sewing things, trying to sew things to thank people. And I finished up all the stripe, sort of orange and red stripe cloth, and I moved on to this sort of polka dot stretch twill that didn't really have a lot of. It was originally a long, like, neck scarf tied thing that was stitched and sewn. So I unpicked the stitching and folded it back out and ironed it flat, and there's this big ridge down the center from where it had been folded so long and the edge was worn, so I had to work around that. And I made something that was supposed to fit Barbie size, because I'm not used to stretch twill, and because it's an old pattern I hadn't used for a while. It turned out it's a little loose on Barbie, fits curvy really well. So I cut out matching crop pants to go with this jacket for curvy, and those are in the thank you pile for somebody. And I also thought, well, it'd be really cool to have Barbie-sized jeans out of this. It's pink with dots and circles and oranges and orange and red and pink and again I messed up because I'm not used to this kind of cloth and the stretch, and it ended up being a really weird size that I have a doll who wears it perfectly, so not going to somebody else. But and then I had a little bit of the orange and red stripe left over from a skirt for one of the thank you people, that I realized that these cloth, the print and the stripes go together pretty well, I think. So I made them for Sakurana. This is Bandai Sakurana. She's designed by Universal Puyan, and her head sculpt is by Hayashi, who in about 10-15 years ago in the action figure community, he was the sculptor. Everybody wanted a Hayashi sculpt. And there were some Takara Cool Girls who he sculpted, and then I was so tickled when I got my Sakurana and saw on the side it said that she was also sculpted by Hayashi. So she has, her aesthetic is very much, her body style is very much right between fashion doll and action figure. She has a lot of articulation, although not quite as much as an action figure, more than a fashion doll, and she is a little more stout than a fashion doll, but she's not the ready to rumble body that action figures have. And she has a fairly retro style face, very much like vintage Japanese dolls. So, and the original waistband on these jeans was terrible, so I took it off, and when I redid it, I just used it's the same color that broadcloth I used for the pockets. So I'm glad that this tunic is long enough to hide how mismatched the waistband is. And I do like the way this turned out. I'm sorry that I couldn't give these to somebody else. I am now out of this. Like I said, I did not have much of this stretch twill. But I've got a cute outfit for my Sakurana, who usually sits back there, and she's been wearing the same jumpsuit for a while. If you remember how long ago it was that I was working on getting the jumpsuit pattern perfected, she had one of the experiments in that. So, outfit for Sakurana. And again, I have been posting these on Flickr. I don't think I'll dump them all on Instagram at once. I'll work on getting all my missed pictures back on Instagram. Slowly but surely. So I used all of that cloth, so it's time to move on to another cloth. So I pulled out this really sheer, fine cotton scarf. And I realized that the cloths I've been using from the thing sent by Natalia, which is basically that cotton silk blend with the purple and black and gray and brown stripes, that's Natalia cloth that was clothing. A little outside my normal, I normally just sew calico. I normally sew cotton. So that was a little unusual for the kind of texture and weight that I sew. And then I sewed all this, which is a little thinner than I usually sew, a little finer. And then, like I said, I had all sorts of problems with the stretch twill, just stretching it too much while I was sewing it. And then after I started working on the scarf, I realized this is way too fine. I'm not used to this kind of cloth either. Can you see my lovely Halloween all year aesthetic? Anyway, so I started working with this really, really fine scarf, mainly because, yes, I am going to make clothes for people as thanks, and there's plenty of scarf left. But the first thing I wanted to do is I have that, it's a vintage Hawaiian souvenir doll head that was on this completely static vinyl body. And I've got the Disney Descendants Freddy body that matched that head really well. I had been thinking for years of painting a body for this head, but when I found the Freddy body that matched her so well, I forgive all the other weirdness that the Disney Descendants bodies have, and I got it for this doll. And then she just literally sat here. She sat over there for so long on this pile of cloth because I was going to make her salwar kameez, because this was originally salwar kameez. Well, it was the kameez. 2 kameez. So I have this just really fantastic embroidered stuff that I wanted to make doll clothes for. And these I thrifted for 99 cents because, I mean, they hang around long enough to go on 99-cent days. Nobody wanted them because they all had big, not big, but really obvious grease stains on them. So, like I said, I have no problem using damaged clothes, taking apart and turning into doll clothes. But really want to use this for doll clothes sometime. But it's more elaborate than I've felt like sewing lately. But look at those colors. And I will probably use just this part on a doll eventually, but not now. So I need to put, oh, you probably can't see it, but I see the grease stain right there on this one. So I will eventually turn those into doll clothes for this doll, but for now I decided to use that scarf since it has a border print, a passable sari. And you see her very, very retro Hong Kong style clone face. She definitely doesn't look Hawaiian. So she might as well be Indian because there aren't enough dark-skinned Indian dolls, I think. She does have the horrible high-heeled Disney Descendants feet, which I might eventually do something about. Right now, her feet are stuffed into old 1990s flat-foot gymnast Barbie high tops with a half a earplug in the bottom half of each one to help hold the foot heel in place and keep these from going on too far and being that weird angle that flat-foot shoes on high-heel feet take. I will figure out something to do about her feet eventually to give her more shoe options. But if I had a set of headphones, she'd be wearing headphones and just all this funky gear. I tried to look up to see if people do wear t-shirts with saris, and I was only coming up with like high fashion sites. I don't know if there's a street fashion for it. If you know that this is horribly wrong, please tell me. But I would think there's street fashion, because there's street fashion for everything, isn't there? So anyway, this is Mithai. And one of the things I love about saris are those little pleats on the side. So I took my time and ironed those out, and that's what she's wearing for now. And then I wanted to make a Barbie-sized dress from more of this scarf, which as you can see probably is very, very sheer. So I decided I should underline a dress made out of that, just to keep it from being totally see-through. And my calculations got off again. I used my standard Barbie pattern, but something about the underlining and the layers and me making, in the past when I put underlining under darted stuff, I've had the habit of not catching all of the cloth in the dart from the upper layer, and then I have to go back and stitch into weird stuff. So I think I overcompensated and took the darts too deep, which made the torso just a little bit small. And then when I added the skirt, I think I made that hem too deep because I was trying to get the 2 layers, and one was all the fluffy edge. And then I realized as I got really far into it that I hadn't cut the stripe on the top straight, so there was an angle. So I covered that up, and it's, again, not Barbie size, so I'm not giving it to somebody because, I mean, it's the weird size and there are dolls who can wear it, but that angle made it too unacceptable for me to give to somebody. If I'm going to give somebody something, I'm going to give them something nice. So I found a big fake flower and stitched that on and gave it to one of my reproduction Francie. Something just sounded like something fell off. Oh, it was one of her bracelets. So here's this dress. I underlined it with a green that matches the blue fairly well. So the next dresses I make for other people from this cloth, I don't think I'm going to worry about underlining it. I'm just going to either make the bodice out of this green and then make the skirt out of that and not worry about a slip or anything, or I'm just going to make the whole dress one big light floaty, intentionally sheer thing without a lot of structure to it. Not sure yet, but I'm going to because I want to get this stuff sewn and sent out to thank people. The pile is getting fairly big, but I still have more things to make for people. And her bracelets are falling off. So, but it fits Francie pretty well. And of my 3 Francie-bodied dolls, it had been the longest since she had had a costume change. So, my now vintage repro of a vintage Francie got a new dress with a giant flower. Usually with fake flowers like this, when I'm using them for dolls, I'll actually trim the petals down so they're more properly doll-sized. But I don't know if you can see the angle where I messed up. The stripe across the front is pretty severe, so we'll just cover it up with it. So that's doll stuff, doll sewing that I can share, is that I did get some bits made for people. I know I keep talking about, going on and on about how I'm making stuff for people. I just want you to know I have not forgotten. I'm working on it. I'm just being slow. And part of the thing is, my brain keeps saying, hey, let's do a reroute. Let's do a reroute. Come on, let's do a reroute. It's like, I appreciate being in the mood to do a reroute, but I need to sew. But when I am in the mood to do a reroute, I did a trade with Alex Dalton, who is on Flickr and on Instagram and has a lot of great pop culture reference dolls, and being British, a lot of Cindy dolls and a lot of Cindy pop culture dolls and a lot of comic book and science fiction, and it's a fun doll photo stream to follow if you're not following Alex already. So we did a trade. One of my custom dolls went to Alex, and Alex sent and noxious trim. This is going to be fun to work with, and will fit easily in the lace case because it's small and flat and on the card. So that was unexpected. Thank you for the trim. And then, since I'm mostly interested in pastel hair for reroots, you see I've gone a little bit darker myself, but you know, this will rinse out and be a pastel pink eventually, and I love this color anyway. So this color to pastel and pastel dolls, and I'm just getting a little tired of rooting everybody with that pink. The old Rochelle pink. I don't mind. Oh, just a little change of doll hair color. So this is a very different pink, more of a milky pink. And we have two different purples. Some bluish purple called Wisteria and some pinkish purple called Orchid, which I will like having lots of purple haired dolls. And this, love this color for dolls. I probably would have done Space Princess PJ in this almost immediately too. This is that color, not exactly, but close to the color in her hair, the slightly darker color that is scavenged bit by bit from, again, from the Rochelle hair. Those are the blue teal streaks in Rochelle's hair. The Mattel color is just slightly greener, but it's close enough. I wanted hair color about like this to reroot a doll in for years, but I always get hesitant about ordering from websites because I'm never quite sure if I get my expectations up and the hair color is not exactly what I thought I was getting. And there's a very dark blue, not a lot of it left, but you know I like to blend colors, and this will cover a lot of doll head the way I reroot. And some apple and orange, which I have a tiny bit of red, not enough to do much more than a few streaks with, but I keep looking at it, coming back to it and wishing I had more, so that's good. And I have some orange that is, oh, this is thermal orange, I just noticed. Yes, okay. So thank you for this trade. I will have plenty of rerooting I can do eventually after I sew for thank you. And the last thing, I know I've been telling you how I keep poking Miro dolls saying, where's my doll? And they say, don't worry, in a week. And 2 weeks go by and they say, where's my doll? They say, we're working on it. This, don't worry. Actually, don't say don't worry. They say, another week, it'll be out. It's okay. And then 2 weeks go by, where's my doll? And this went on for 3 months. And I poked them yesterday and said, forgive me, but the email below was sent 2 weeks ago where you said the doll would be shipping in a week. I just want to make sure there's nothing wrong. I try to be polite when I send it. I try not to let my frustration show through. I don't know if I succeed. I hope. I try to be polite. And they replied, here's your shipping number. So I got the call from DHL this morning confirming that it is on its way and it should be here Friday. Which, zoom, after 3 months it gets delivered in 3 days. So I don't know if I'll do a box opening video. I've never done one before because last time that I got a brand new BJD was from Dragon Doll in like 2011. Was it that long ago? And I wasn't into the whole, I really wouldn't any community with BJD people at all, so I didn't see the need for a box opening, but I might do a video for this box opening. Okay, so hopefully I will have a nice big doll to show you next time, and hopefully I will have more clothes, and hopefully it was sunny enough to see what I'm doing this time. Thanks!